MLB Network put out their top 10, word after it, right now. It says top 10 second baseman. So I don't want to look at this list and hear this crap about, well, he's a shortstop, that's why he's not ranked in our top 10, because it says top 10 right now. Mm-hmm. And right now, he is the second baseman of the Chicago Cubs.
I've never heard Stuckey more fired up.
Well, Jose Altuve, some of the guys at the top of the list, you can look at it and go, I understand why. Jose Altuve, number 1. Jeff McNeil, number 2. Jimenez, number 3. Marcus Semien hits a lot of home runs, 4. Brandon Lowe, okay, maybe 5. When you start to get to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on this list,
yeah,
I do think it's a lack of respect for Nico Hoerner. Like, I think it's almost slander.
Right. Ketel Marte is a pretty solid player.
I'm not saying any of those guys are bad.
Well, yeah, but like he's the one on there that I'm like, okay, that one makes sense. But Brendan Donovan, like, yeah, he had a great rookie year. Believe he won Rookie of the Year. Or was
126 games.
But like, yeah, we're talking about 1 year. Nico Hoerner's been in the league for a few years. He's coming off a great season. He's been in the Gold Glove conversation.
Yeah. Well, and then I told Luke, I'm like, at first glance, I'm like, just because maybe he didn't play last year, hasn't played at second base really in a few years, like, okay, maybe that makes sense. But then I'd also seen someone comment about, Jazz Chisholm not being on there, and 75% of his career games have been at second base. So it's I don't know how Nico Hoerner doesn't make the top 10 list. It feels like he should. He was, he at least defensively was at least in like the top 10 of shortstops last year. So you move him over to second base, that defense is still there. I don't know. I've
got the numbers for you. I got the numbers for you.
Luke's
and Niren says, he's got to prove it, right? I agree, but the list they have says right now. Okay? And by the way, Donovan needs to prove it, and he's on the list. So that's why I don't buy that excuse. Steven, give us the graphic that I put together comparing him to some of these guys that are ahead of him. And Nico leads almost every – first of all, I tried to combine baseball reference numbers, fan graphs, so all the stats nerds out there can – I tried to put in old school numbers, new school numbers. I do my eye test numbers. Nico Hoerner, everybody tells me WAR is the most important thing, right? If you have to just grade a player on one thing, it's probably WAR. Nico Hoerner, 4.5 WAR. His WAR is higher than Gleyber Torres, Colton Wong, Marte. Okay, so now we go to batting average. He also has the highest batting average. So we go old school number. We got WAR, the all-encompassing one. Batting average, he's got more. He's the lowest in home runs, but it's not like somebody has like 45 home runs there that's ahead of him. The only guy that's really above that group is Torres, all right? But defensively, he's not even close. The WRC plus is fairly close. And then you look at defensive WAR. Nico's 14.3. Everybody else is a negative number. How could you leave him off the list? If you're going to tell me watching the Brewers that Colton Wong is a better player than Nico Hoerner, eye test, you're out of your mind.
I'm surprised that Colton Wong is a negative defensive WAR. That's like the one thing he's always been like known for is the defense.
These were just 22. The only numbers for 22. Brendan Donovan, 126 games, 4.1 WAR. So again, lower than Nico Hoerner, smaller sample size, batting average exactly the same. Again, negative defensive WAR. Polanco's on the list. He's a 2.8 WAR with a negative 7.2 defensive metric. Where did they come up with the list? I count on MLB Network. First of all, I trust a lot of the people at MLB Network. Like they got a lot of smart people working there. How did they come up with this second baseman list?
It's also weird when you look at Brendan Donovan specifically, the fact that he played like 7 different positions on the field. Like he never really was a full-time second baseman. And he's 7th on that list, on MLB Network's list, I want to say.
Yes.
So he's 7th. They ranked him 7th.
126 games.
Maybe the idea is that he's going to play more second base this year for the Cardinals. But he didn't play a whole lot of second base last year just because he played all over the field for him. So to say like, he's probably going to play second base a lot more for the Cardinals, so put him on the list. But then, again, to not have Nico, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
All right, so if you're in the chat or you're listening at home, let's look at the list one more time. When you say top 10, and we include some of the guys that are later, who on that team would you be willing to trade Nico Hoerner for? Take salary out of it. Just look at the top 10 second basemen. Would you be willing to take Gleyber Torres back for Nico Hoerner? Absolutely not.
No.
I wouldn't mind him at third base for the Cubs, but I wouldn't take him for Nico Hoerner. Would you take Colton Wong in a straight-up trade for Nico Hoerner right now?
No.
Hard no for me.
No.
Steven, you're a Sox guy. Anybody on there where you're like, yeah, I feel that. Like, I mean, obviously the Sox
Are we
don't
going to
have a
factor
second
in age
baseman.
here?
Sure, yeah.
Just straight-up players.
Just straight up top 10 right now.
Forget the money part.
As much as I hate the guy, I'd probably take Altuve over him.
I think
I mean,
Altuve
yeah,
has, yes.
McNeil has some injury history. He had a really good year last year. I think he was batting champ. So
I mean, Marcus Simeon's.
I don't know if that's repeatable.
If you were
Just
trying to
top
win
four
right
maybe
now,
are the ones
I'd
you can
probably
argue.
take Altuve
Yes.
over Nico Hoerner. Yes.
Those top 4, they're ones you can argue.
Yeah,
I
Marcus
think.
Simeon, you could.
But when I get to the point where I start factoring in money here, no, I'd rather have Nico Hoerner. These guys are making substantially more, with exception of Colton Wong, who, I mean, even the Brewers weren't even sure they wanted to keep him.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure how
I'm
he's
not-
left off this list.
I'm not saying he's number 1 or number 2. I just think it's a total disrespect to completely forget the guy. Because as Ryan's pointed out, you can't use the excuse that he played shortstop.
Yeah. Shane in the chat, he points out that they left off Albies as well. So,
Yeah.
and he's
how's
he's very
that?
good.
Great. That's a great point.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I just
Did I read it? Was this an article on the Onion? was this an Onion post or was it really?
Luke has gone full me
Well,
on this segment.
I'm just
Luke-
looking at it
Luke is
thinking it doesn't make
fired up.
sense. Am I getting punked?
No, man. This is MLB Network. They put this together and then hit send. And they were like, let's see what we started. Like, let's see the fire we started.
Sometimes I wonder how much of it, like, you think that in the back of their minds they're talking about, like, you know what, let's troll people. Let's get the conversation going. Let's get some hot takes out there. Maybe a little bit. You never know.
Let's see if we get CHGO
Sometimes we do
Cubs to
that.
talk about it.
We
Yeah,
should just start doing
basically.
our top 10 list of guys around the league. Top 10 second basemen in the league. Like
Yeah.
the CHGO
Well,
Cubs.
we got
people.
enough time between now and the start of the season.
yeah.
We will be doing it.